تهیه و تنظیم در استودیو بیزرایز.
I have read hundreds of books on everything from investing to corporate structure to the psychology of persuasion. And here's the truth. 95% of what they tell you is completely useless when it comes to actually getting rich. So, let me go ahead and save you the thousands of hours I have spent reading that never actually benefited me when it comes to making money. Now listen, do not get me wrong. The books I read were wonderful in their own right. They were fascinating, but they didn't help me get rich. And honestly, you have no time to waste. So these are the 17 books that will actually make you rich. The first thing that you really need to understand is that the type of books you're gonna read to go from $0 to $10,000 a month will be very different to those that you're gonna read in order to hit $100,000 months or even make $1 million a month. So therefore, I actually divided these 17 books into 3 categories, going from $0 to $10,000 a month, $10,000 to $100,000 a month, and $100,000 to $1 million a month. Then I actually threw in a bonus category, which is the books that will help you grow from $1 million a month to $10 million a month and beyond. And honestly, I would say that that is probably the most interesting one. And that's because at that level, macroeconomics actually become the most important thing. That's really when you start to study how the world actually works. You get into books like The House of Morgan, which explains the truth behind the banking system, but we're gonna get to that a little later in the video. Now, the first book on this list almost sets the foundation for everything to come. And by the way, it's also the only fictional work on this list. And I'm talking about The Alchemist. Now, this book tackles the very prerequisite of making money and getting rich, and that's having the guts to actually follow your purpose. Because make no mistake about it, it is far easier to never take that leap of faith or to never start that business. So before you can even think about making money, you need to have a very honest conversation with yourself. And you need to decide if you're willing to take that bet on yourself, and decide if you are willing to overcome the obstacles that come with following your purpose. Because when you're starting from zero and you want to get to $10,000 per month, that is probably the hardest income threshold to reach. And the reason behind that is because everything is working against you. You see, when you're first starting out, you actually need to rewire your entire brain. You don't need to simply make money, but you need to become the person that's worthy of making money. So when I say that everything is working against you, what I mean by that is that the person you once were is at odds with the person that you're becoming. And just like Newton's first law of motion, you're fighting inertia. And in some sense, $0 to $10,000 a month boils down to one thing: mindset. You need to adopt that mindset that success is not just a desire, it's a necessity. And that is exactly the lesson of the next book on the list, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And much like the title of the book suggests, it boils down to the idea that if you're able to conceive it and believe it, well then you can achieve it. And I'd say that's really the first step towards becoming rich, actually believing that you can, and realizing that it's the only path forward. You see, the book also talks about another pitfall I see far too often in people just getting started. You see, often when you're getting started, you'll get stuck waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the perfect business model, just waiting for everything in order to not get started. And the truth is, as obvious as it seems, is that there's no perfect time. There never was, and there never will be. The beginning of any journey, let alone the journey of getting rich, is gonna be messy. And my friend, that's simply the name of the game. And honestly, being able to navigate through that mess is what will make you successful. And here's where we get to the next book, Atomic Habits. You see, the next book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, teaches you how to do exactly that. You see, we already established that you need to become a person worthy of success. So how do you do that? Well, you are the sum of all of your actions. So to change yourself, you need to change your actions. And obviously you can't just reinvent yourself overnight. So you need to do it in incremental steps by implementing new habits, killing old ones, and keeping the worthy ones. And that's exactly what Atomic Habits teaches you to do. I remember when I read it for the first time, it completely changed how I approached my work and allowed me to stack all of my good habits. Day by day, I kept solidifying my habits until they eventually became second nature. Now, real quick before I get to the next book, I know a lot of you guys are watching this and going, this is amazing, but none of these books are gonna show me what online business do I start this year that will actually get me rich. Because as I said, these are 17 of my favorite books out of hundreds that I've read. But these books aren't gonna tell you, hey, this year, this model's working, this model's not working. Maybe you should try this based on your personality type. So that's why I'm gonna leave the link to my most popular YouTube video down below. This video has helped millions of people decide what business model is the right one for them and which ones they should start today because it is working the best. So once you finish that video, I will leave a link in the description. Go ahead, check out that YouTube video, pick the right business model for you, and let's get
تهیه و تنظیم در استودیو بیزرایز.